Movie Bumblebee is so cool, but we're not taking a look at him today. We're taking a look at this beauty right here. Let me scoot him into frame. Right here we got Bee Warrior, and I guess it kind of says Deformation over here. That's just such a common knockoff name, or bootleg. I don't know what you would consider this, but the figure himself is really cool looking. So I decided to pick it up just because I was like, you know what? It doesn't look like it's going to be that low quality of a knockoff, because it looks like, we've got a decent Bumblebee movie head. Specifically, it looks like the Rise of the Beast head, and then a G1 body here. As long as the plastic feel is good and the articulation holds up, and the transformation ain't too bad, we might actually have a decent knockoff here. We also get a rifle on display, not bad. Our brand name, Xing Gang, and a cool picture of the figure there, which isn't like a picture of some other random toy. This actually looks like the figure that we're getting, which is rare for a knockoff. On the sides we get more Deformation Bee Warrior, which if you're gonna knock off Bumblebee, I guess Bee Warrior isn't the worst name for him. And on the back we get more pictures. We get the instructions on how to transform, which, I mean, this should be fairly easy, although they do that thing that I kind of hate where it shows it going from vehicle mode to bot mode, even though we receive them in bot mode, so you have to go in reverse order of the directions. But you can't expect too much from a knockoff. You know what? All things considered, not terrible. He also has a plastic handle on the top for ages 3+. Not bad. So let's crack him open real quick and take a look at him in figure mode. And here we are in his fabulous glory, a pretty mid figure. So when it comes to that plastic that I was talking about, it is cheap and pretty flimsy, but it's not the worst I've come across. As you can see, though, it doesn't have a whole lot of integrity. And then, in addition to that, paint quality obviously is not great. Not everything's exactly painted perfectly within the lines, but as is expected with a cheapo knockoff. But the articulation is where it really fails. We'll get to that. In addition, this right here, it's inverse of kibble. Whereas normally they'll have a backpack or something, this guy is he is a hollow man. They even have a warning sticker in here too. Look at that. It's so ugly. Get that off of there. And then the overall aesthetic of this back end here just gives like sad, cheap. Up here, he looks kind of chunky and thick, not too bad. I kind of enjoy this overall aesthetic. I see him as sort of like, how Hound is kind of like an older robot and he's all chonky. Maybe this is Bumblebee once he's kind of like over the hill. This is now old man Bumblebee here. And I don't mind that. I really like my chonky old man robots. Anywho, let's take a look at a comparison real quick between him and the Rise of the Beast Bumblebee. So look at his head. That basically is what we're comparing. Nothing else is going to match up here. The body, I'm guessing they were going for more of a first Bumblebee movie look, but you can see those ears up there. That's totally, I'm getting, it's almost like a direct ripoff of this head sculpt, except for that G on the head, making him Gumblebee. And his green eyes, very piercing, almost haunting in a way. Also a little crooked, making him look a little dunce-like, perhaps. Like, kind of weird design with this new Bumblebee head is having that, like, it almost looks like a binky in his mouth. I don't know how I feel about that. But in addition to that, we have this giant gaping hole in his wrists where the opposite end has exactly what should be on the front. I don't get what's going on there. Were they intending to add articulation or something? Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that. But let's bring out his rifle too. I have another Bumblebee holding it so you can see it has a compatible 5mm port, which is pretty cool, which means you can swap weapons back and forth between these guys. However, scale-wise, this Bumblebee, I don't know what you would scale him with. I've never seen a bug beetle car that huge, just a Volkswagen of that scale. But with the rifle out here, we can toss that in his hand. It's a pretty generic looking rifle. Nothing really going on, a lot of hollowness, but I don't know. It's not bad for him. It kind of fits his scale to a certain degree, and he looked a lot better holding that than just standing around like a dork with his big old belly hanging out. And then when it comes to this hollowness on the back too, the hips here won't lock in place, so he'll just constantly, if he's at a heavy back angle, just kind of like start transforming himself into a car. It's whatever. Not the best thing there. So let's take out this rifle again, and let's start the articulation process. So over at the head we have just a swivel. You'd think it would be a full ball joint, but I don't think we're getting up and down. We do have the transformation, which would give him an extra look down, not really up. We've got some shoulders going on for a full 360, and then it doesn't go out much. The elbows are weird because as you get to this point, it kind of locks up, and then you can kind of force it to a 90 degree, but I'm sure that won't last forever. That's going to make the plastic give at some point. No wrist articulation. The hips are terrible. So you know how we can do it this way? We can, I guess the inverse of hump, we can unhump. And then the legs here don't kick forward past there. So he basically can only move backwards there, which in addition, his knees also move the opposite way really well. They move the right way as well too, but just kind of like, I don't know, the articulation on him is so bizarro world. Even his feet, because of the transformation, articulate, so we can go that way and then back. And then something odd too is his tires are on the feet, but there's nothing like keeping him from just kind of like sliding around. So if you have him just like this, you can kind of, yeah, his knees aren't that strong. But if you have him like this, you can just kind of roll him around. So you got that going for him. Let's transform him real quick and look at that car mode, because I think I'm kind of done with this. And finally, there we are. My goodness, what a beautiful little cartoony, chonky vehicle mode. It's a pain in the butt to do, though. I don't know if you noticed, things were popping off left and right. Nothing wants to line up just right. And then it has tabs that just kind of don't want to go in. Things that just, you start moving one thing inward, everything else wants to come apart. This is not a very good vehicle mode, and it was not a very fun transformation. But and in total, you know, it's kind of a goofy looking cartoony thing that I could give it a break. If you want realism, though, like, here's a more realistic Bumblebee that's still got kind of cartoony proportions, but look at that. This is a much better look right there. This figure cost me $8. This is a, what's this one? I think this one's from Rise of the Beast as well, but it's probably from the Bumblebee movie originally. They did like a lot of reissues of those figures for the line. Really neat looking. Let me set him aside again. And, you know, it's just these little crappy wheels, no rubber going on or anything like that. Nothing fancy, no decals. The paint is very mid. Just, it's not the worst Bumblebee, but, you know, it ain't the best. It's far from. As far as knockoff goes, though, you could do worse. I kind of appreciate the G1 aesthetic, at least. And then this car mode, you know, if this were just sitting in a pile of other Bumblebees that were all transformed, you might not pick it out and say that one's a knockoff. So, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think.